We're back. We're back.
For June.
We got June, one of my favorite months. I love June. It's hot,
Yeah,
but
it's fun though.
Oh yeah,
smoke them.
Smoke them.
Light them up.
Big schools, baby. Tate, what you got, bro?
I mean, I think we need to start off with though. Our May baits are still going to be transitioning to June. Like we're still going to be throwing the big worm on the Texas rig.
100%. Don't forget about
your
that
shower blows, your topwater stuff. So if you guys haven't seen that one, check that one out. That's going to be a good one to kind of follow into June.
May's video.
Let's start it off fresh right here. I'm going to old. I feel like it's forgotten. Yeah, I see you got some stuff. Did you bring some? Oh, never mind. Ooh. I thought you had some C-Rig stuff too.
I was going to. I saw you had it, so I was like, I'll go ahead and let
Yeah. And you throw a little different bait on there. We'll tell them about that. But Carolina rig, guys. It's super simple to fish. We'll start off with the terminal you need here. 6 cents makes it super easy if you want to be, just super quick. They got the pre-rig Carolina rig. You just tie to the top, tie to the bottom swivel with your leader line, and you're ready to go. If not, we carry all the separate accessories too. So kind of give you guys a breakdown. You're going to slide your weight on there first. I like starting off with like a 3/4, kind of typical all-around weight for me. You're going to slide that bead on there, and then you're going to tie a swivel on there. And then after the swivel, I don't run super long leaders. They kind of are a pain to cast and just deal with sometimes. But I mean, anywhere from that 12 to 18 inches, kind of somewhere in there is a good start. And then tie on, I like a round bend style hook, fit it to whatever plastic you're throwing. That's a Carolina rig setup. For the bait you're going to throw on there, we're run the old hog walla. This thing is super good. It's got the side appendages and then these back ones. So, I mean, any little movement with the rod, just even the water moving around, that thing
easy action.
Yeah. This place is good amount of water. Super simple, just bombing it out there. And this is more, not a vertical, more of a drag, and just dragging it slow. You can feel everything with the Carolina rig too. If you haven't fished one, you're going to feel every rock, tree down there. That's what I'm starting off with. Old Carolina rig, guys. Super fun one. Yeah, I know you like throwing.
Oh yeah.
A little different. I like staying with the kind of that like brush hog, lizard kind of profile. What are you throwing on the back of that?
I mean, when the fish get off school and they get on big bait, guys. I mean, typically, you notice we're throwing like a hog walla. We got a bunch of big baits out here. When they first get fresh offshore out there, they're looking to feed up from that spawn. They laid their eggs. They're hungry. They haven't eaten a lot of meals up there. They're thin, and so they're feeding up hard. And so we're targeting them typically with bigger presentations. One of my favorite go-tos is like your actually, Jay, hand me that Sakamata right there. I forgot to put that up there, guys. Throw that up. Oh, yeah. What's up? Nice toss, Jay. So your Sakamata shad, 7/8 inch, or your 6 cents flush, which is another good one too. They got the regular flush and the Magnum flush. I'm sure you'll see that up here on the green screen. And then, I mean, that Fluke-style bait is, I learned this in Texas, is a big player in that post-spawn phase with these fish. It's just real natural. There's not a lot of action to it, but it's a big presence down there. And that just nice glide, it just is really natural and gets a lot of big bites. When those fish are a little bit finicky or they're feeding up on gizzards, whatever it may be. Big bait down there. Sakamata or a flush or any Fluke-style bait on the back of a Carolina rig is another good, thing to try on the back of that Carolina rig for sure. But, talking about the Carolina rig, that's a great follow-up bait to one of my faves. Mm-hmm. When they're active and they're feeding guys, again, we talked about this in the May video.
Yep.
We're gonna have this on our deck probably year-round, pretty much. I mean, for the most part, right? But a 10XD, I'm gonna specifically just say a 10XD right now because those fish, that June month is typically the first month in most states where they first get offshore and those schools are firing and they're going crazy. 10XD has a lot of action. It's loud and it gets a lot of big bites. It's a big profile. Usually my setup, I'm throwing this on 12 to 16 pound test, depending on how deep I want this bait to go. Sometimes even 20, because I'll fish this bait in 15 foot of water or even 12 foot of water. because it's a big presence. You know, sometimes you'll dredge it, but if I want to get out there deep, I can get this down to like 28 feet on 12-pound, 10-pound test. You know, I'm fishing for some deep fish, depending on how they're set up, whatever you got. 10XD guys, you know, the Cloud 25. You know, we got a bunch of great deep diving crankbaits, but the 10XD is a staple in June. I'd say it's a hard one to beat. It's a good one to throw. Make sure you have it on the deck. Strike King 10XD.
One in the big plug.
Big plug.
That's a fun one. Actually, I got another good little follow-up. They get off the crank, you know, schooling fish, offshore, a hair jig. This one's the Flock from 6 Cents. They got some super nice colors in these. These Pro Blue's a nice one, kind of, you know, clear water, just a nice natural. Usually with this, I'm starting off with the 5/8. And the main way I'm usually fishing this, you know, bombing out on that school, and I just like to reel it.
You let it get to the bottom first?
Yes. Yeah. Cast it out, let it sink, and then after, you know, it hits the bottom, taking a couple quick, you know, 3 to 4 reels, boom, 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 and then I'm just gonna let it kind of pendulum swing back down. So not full slack line, you know, you want some tension on there, and then just let it fall back down, you know, and just repeat the process. And usually 99% of the time it's on the fall when they're gonna eat it. You know, if you get out there on that fresh school, freaking smoking them on the 10XD, and you're like, kind of dwindling a little bit, you still see them up there. This is just a finessier way. We also got the Outcast chicken jig, a little bigger profile. You know, if you're looking just for one big bite, that's a good one to go with. And then the Flock is really another good choice.
Not a lot of hair jig talk out there.
There's not.
Not a whole lot.
There's not. And it's super natural.
So underrated.
Yeah. I mean, with scope and stuff nowadays too, it's a fun one to throw on there. And they get finicky sometimes. You know, everyone's beating up on them. And that's just another nice way. I like this one too because it's got the hair, of course, but they also throw a couple little silicone strands in there. Just makes super nice hand-tied jigs. Yeah, that's a fun one too. A little sleeper one, but.
Well, staying on the topic of offshore schooling fish, y'all gotta have a big spoon on your deck this time of year. Really, I have two styles of big spoons typically, right? I've got a fast falling spoon like the 6 Cents sonar spoon, and I'll have a slow falling spoon like the Big Larry. Big Larry is a lot more comfortable, like we talked about in our last video. But guys, if you haven't picked up a big spoon in June, trust me,
it's fun.
Y'all got to pick it up. You will get some of the most aggressive bites you've ever had on a big spoon. And literally you're putting it out there on that school or on that, you know, that point, whatever it may be, hump that you're fishing, letting it fall. And I like to let it fall with my spool, you know, loose. So I'll push my button, let it fall free line, and I kind of keep my thumb on it. And I'm just feeling for that thump, right? If I get a thump, I'm engaging and setting the hook. But typically what's going to happen is going to fall on the initial fall. I'm going to click over and I'm going to give it, you know, 1 or 2 big hops and let it fall on a semi-tight line. Not a slack, not a tight. You kind of want that spoon to be able to flutter back how it should. Letting it fall on a semi-slack line, and you're watching for your bite. But you guys, this is versatile. You can fish it, you know, fish are feeding up and they're suspended, you know, feeding on bait, you know, up and they're looking up. You can fish the suspended, just don't let it sink to the bottom.
Right.
Super simple. Another good little trick. One of my favorite ways to fish the fast falling spoons is a burn and kill like he does with the hair jig. That's deadly on those ledge fish. And what I'll do is I'll burn it, let it, you know, cast it out, sink it to the bottom. I'm going to burn it to 3 or 4 reels, and I'm going to click my button because that spoon's going to actually fall backwards a little bit. So I'm just, and you'll see, I think it was Fred Rabanis did it at Kentucky Lake quite a bit. I think it was him. You'll watch him. It's burn, click, let it fall. Click, burn, click. And it's just, it's a constant letting it go back down. So it's almost, you're burning it, yes, but you're fishing a short zone.
Right.
But very quickly.
Yeah.
And so it's staying in the strike zone for a long time, firing them up, and just another good way to target them, those offshore schools.
Heck yeah.
Old big spoon.
A little spooner. All right. Lastly here, I just got a jig. Old jiggy.
But
we're gonna get there. Hold up. We're gonna get there.
Give him the sneaky sneak, Tater.
So a jig, it's gonna catch them fishing it the regular way. You know, throw a chigger crawl on there, drag it around, drag it through some brush piles, rocky points. They're gonna eat it. They'll eat it. Another little sleep. This is the sleeper vid.
This is the sleeper vid a little bit.
We're gonna talk about stroking a jig. If you guys never done that or haven't heard of it, pretty much, you know, you're casting your jig out there. letting it sink. And this is all offshore. You know, we're trying to fire some schools up and get them going. So casting it out there, usually like a 3/4. Even, I know some dudes even will go an ounce and really freaking hop it. But cast it out there, let it sink. You want to pair it up with something with a lot of action, like the 6-inch stroker craw. It's the stroker craw, stroking a jig. And what you're going to do once it hits the bottom, just going to rip it up.
Just like a hook set.
Pretty much. Yeah, don't be afraid. You're going
to
to
be aggressive.
Rip it up. You know, you even hit a little 2-pump sometimes. Rip it up, and I'm letting it fall on slack line. You know, letting that line lay, letting it fall straight back down. Rip it up, let it fall straight back down.
Those bites on that bait, oh my goodness.
It's fun. It's almost like the big spoon almost, man.
I think they hit it harder. I really do.
And they choke it. But, you know, green fish makes the good. The craw balls are really good. You can even throw it with the living rubber. If you're around some big fish, you know, fishing somewhere in Texas like Fork or something, you know, I would go with that one. If you got average fish, big fish around you, like a 5-pounder, you know, I like the standard ones good, a little more compact. It's just super fun. Freaking just hopping it up there, and they smoke it.
When they get on that is like one of the most fun bites. I got on that bite at Lake Fork. Buddy of mine a long time ago told me, hey, we're catching stroking a 1-ounce jig. And I was like, what do you mean you're stroking a 1-ounce jig? What are you talking about? And I tied on a 1-ounce jig, and I was like, okay, I guess I just set the hook, and we're on this little school. And dude, some of the most aggressive bites I've ever had in my life. I mean, just choked. They're knocking 5 feet of slack. You're trying to catch up to them.
I was at SAG the first time I did it. I was like, they ain't going to eat it, dude. And like third cast in, it was like a 5. I was like, oh, okay. Like,
oh, Saguaro, you guys. He's letting the cat out of the bag.
That's a fun one.
Well,
what you got?
Lastly, we've had a lot of question about in the shop. I'm here in the shop when I'm not guiding. And what is a Bubba shot? What's a Bubba shot? Tate, what to you is a Bubba shot?
A beefy drop shot.
Okay.
A beefed up drop shot.
Beefed up.
On a scale of line, hook, rod, everything.
It's not little guppy, it's Bubba.
It's
Bubba. All right, guys. So I'm curious what you guys throw on a Bubba shot, or if you know what a Bubba shot is, explain it to me down below. I'm going to give you my synopsis. And we're taters, very similar, about the same thing. Beefed up drop shot, guys. So what that means is we're throwing heavier line, we're throwing a more stout and bigger hook, and we're throwing a little bit heavier weight. Normally would on our drop shot. Okay, so also that means bigger bait presentation. So we got some big worms, right? Upton's Customs 13-inch worm. They make this is an 8, 9, and 13 that we carry. The 6-inch 9.5 Divine shaky worm. That's a good one on the Bubba as well. The Upton's does float really well. It is deadly on that Bubba, and I'm pairing that up with a 4 or 5/0 either Hayabusa FP straight or cover shot. Usually a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce. Like I said, heavier weights on these Bubba shots. You're usually throwing anywhere from 12 to 16 pound test line. If I've got some real stain, if I'm at Roosevelt, I know I'm on some big fish, and I know, you know what, we're going to get some big bites. It's stained water. I can go up to bump it up to 20, 18, 20. But I like that 16 seems to be about right for me, because it still allows me to feel and have a lot of action in that worm. I feel like you kind of get a little bit less action when you start going, the line gets a little too stiff being 20 pound test. But guys, super easy. Bait caster, high gear ratio reel, a 7'3" medium heavy. You don't have to get crazy with it or anything. Soft tip, and put you on a 3/8 ounce or 1/2 ounce. We got the 6-inch teardrops right here in tungsten, and then put you on a 4/0, 5/0 FP straight or cover shot, grab you some big worms, and guys, super simple. You're just gonna work it like a drop shot, and it catches a lot of big fish this time of year in June, especially when all this other stuff isn't working, and they still want a big bait. They don't want a little bait,
right?
Because a lot of times right now these post spawn big females, they want something big to eat, but they might not want to chase. They might not be in that mood right now. They might not want to leave too far. You shake a big worm, a big one in front of their face, a lot of times it fires them up, gets them to eat. And that's all I got, Tater.
That's all I got too, bro.
Well, that's June.
That's June.
We got a good one. We got some sleepers in there, guys.
Yeah. But I think that's it, dude. Thanks for watching, guys. Link everything down below, and catch y'all next time.
Have a good one, guys.